Welcome to day 13 of the 1 million people project. I want to welcome every one of you guys. Today, though, we're coming from a different angle altogether. We're going into quantum entanglement, and your money. This is purely from the word of, from the one of physics. Okay, so today, it may not necessarily be one of your most, like how do I say, incredibly crazy, but this is literally from quantum physics. That's where this is coming from. But I want to talk about how money works, the relationship between quantum physics, quantum entanglement, along with your money. Also, having the blueprint of money, understanding how this works. I want this as interactive as possible. This is my life. And the topic is quantum physics, explain why some people just stay broke. Make sure you tag everyone, okay, to make them part, of this. Let me know where you're joining me from, any parts of the world where you're joining me from, because I know I have people from all over the world. And typically, my life will go anywhere between 600 to 1,000 people will be on. So let me know where you're joining me from. I want to welcome every single one of you guys. So from Allen, from Oriana to to Karim, Mendoza, every one of you. Let me welcome every one of you guys. Let's get into it, okay? You say, your money is more connected than you think. Let me say that again. Your money is more connected than you think. The quantum physics of wealth explains something very clearly. As below, so beneath. As above, so beneath. As without, so within. It's very important you understand the role of quantum physics in your life, and especially in wealth creation, because we talk about wealth all the time. But these things don't just happen like a happenstance or one of those things that is just like, okay, it's accidental. All of this can be intentional. Like you can actually, like through the laws of quantum physics, like acquire wealth, live a very happy life, and do most beautiful things for yourself. These are facts. So, but a lot of people don't understand quantum physics. They don't understand how it works. They never apply it. They've never been quiet or silenced to themselves. They're distracted with the noise, the music, the loud and the noise and etc. etc. But today I want to reconnect you, to something very esoteric, very different, but it's still connecting you with money. Let me know exactly where you're joining me from, okay? Again, I'm interested in figuring out where, if you're also first time in my life, let me know this is the first time all my life, so I can also give you a shout out, okay? So Vegas is in the house, and that's Lang. Lang, let me welcome you guys. So Las Vegas, I'm gonna be in your city in the month of August. That's Las Vegas right there. So welcome, welcome. All right. So while you guys are posting where you're joining me from, and as I'm giving you guys a shout out, let me go right into it, okay? Most people think money problems are random. No, they are not. Okay? If you think money problem is random, put it out there, let me know. Okay? Money problems are not random at all. They're not. Although they appear like they are random, but they are not. Money problems is caused typically by your quantum physics exposure. Like how you visualize everything. Like the laws you apply to your life and to your wealth. So you attract attracts magnet. It's just the way it works. So in quantum physics, we know one thing, that your financial life is connected to your decisions, to your environment. It's connected to your habits, your awareness in ways that most people never even see. Like your grandparents, great grandparents, someone had a very tough life somewhere, somehow, okay? Very tough life. And they pass that on to you without even realizing that. Maybe a grandparent could not make rent. They were nervous about it. They were almost borderline depressed about it. And then guess what happened? Through a genetic code over a period of time that was also passed on to you. So these are real life situation. Ade, let me welcome you to my life. These are real life situation. And one thing I need you to understand is this, that you are a culmination of exactly both. It's a combination of both your parents, your grandparents, the forefathers, the people before you. Your genetic composition, it's real. It's all part of this. So As you begin to understand this stuff, then you know the role of quantum physics in your life, in your money, in everything. It's very, very big. You see, day 13 of helping 1 million people gain financial clarity, it's a big deal for me. And I got so many people who are responding. And by the way, I apologize. We haven't even gotten to everybody yet. And there's so many of you that have already shown interest in becoming part of the movement because it makes sense. Financial literacy makes sense. Understanding how money works makes sense. So here goes the first, part that I need to ask you. I'm really curious about this. It's a question I have for you. Very, very curious. You say, why do some families build wealth for generations, while other families repeat the same financial pain over and over and over? Let me explain this. So you have maybe your great-grandfather, they had a problem. They couldn't make rent. They suffered. Then your grandparents suffered, they struggle. Then your parents struggle with money, and then you are struggling. Why is there a whole line of generations where everybody is struggling? Have you ever thought about that? And why is it that one family, their great-grandparents were wealthy, and then your grandparents were wealthy, then your parents are wealthy, and then guess what? You also realize that you are also wealthy. Why though? So you realize that literally, yes, dark proximity is power. Proximity is a lot of power. Really, really is a lot of power. And Adele say, learning from a millionaire who is proximity of billionaires here. Ade, thank you. And Ade, I think you saw some of the beginning phase, of my career, of my life, and from there to the millions we've accumulated over the years. So grateful, very, very grateful. But as you guys can see all of this, okay, that quantum physics can actually explain the divide I just gave you. Quantum physics can explain this perfectly well. Let me say that one more time. Quantum physics can explain why there is such a big divide, okay? If you're recording this, feel free to record in my life, okay? I record it sometime too, because I know that the content I provide here, it's a very thematic content. So let me kind of explain one or two things, and I believe quite a number of you guys, are going to be able to understand this very well. So now watch this. There's something we call quantum entanglement. Entanglement concepts, in physics, in quantum physics, essentially is this, that I can entangle another particle somewhere else, regardless of time, regardless of space. In other words, I could be in the US, I could be entangled with somebody else in Africa, in Europe, anywhere in the world. Let me prove it, okay? You could pray for someone that is sick anywhere in the world, and that person gets healed just like that. But you never left your location, you never traveled, you never got on an aircraft. Why is it that you could say words and pray on one side of the world, and somebody else on the other side of the world is healed? Why is that? You see, from the point of religious perspective, you say prayer works. From the world of quantum physics, we'll call it quantum entanglement. So let me break this a step further down, because all of this, is going to make a lot of sense to you as you begin to understand, everything that I'm talking about, in a month. By the way, invite everybody to be part of this. If you're not following me, Nicoya, Tommy, Jay, all of you guys, it's a good idea to follow me. You're going to learn a lot. And if you're already following me, congratulations and thank you for being part, of this life. So I'm coming from a very, very good place, as far as educating, okay? It's always nice to see you here, always. So now watch this. In quantum physics, there's a concept that I just explained. I'm going to re-explain again, called entanglement. By the way, we have quantum entanglement. We have quantum leap. We have quantum mechanics. We have all kind of quantum. Okay, but I'm explaining right now quantum entanglement. In quantum physics, two particles are connected. That's the entanglement part. What affects one particles automatically affect the other, even across distance, across ocean, across anything. Bobby, very nice to see you, my friend. Most people, so you understand this, Most people don't realize their financial life works exact same way. Your finances work the same way. So your financial life, if you think, that you're going to be wealthy and your mind stays there and you travel there and you stay there, you can actually collapse that version of you because you have parallel version that exists. You have a version of you automatically that is wealthy. You have a version of you that is poor. I know, and you have a version of you that you actually have materialized right now. This version of you that you have materialized is the real version that you collapse. So you understand that. This version of you is not the final output of you. It's just what you were able to collapse of you. Both of them run parallel together. You say, let me ask you this. Type yes if you believe your environment affects your money. Type yes if you believe that the environment that you're in affects money. Also, I would like to know where you're watching me from this afternoon. I'd like to know exactly where you want me from. So, Ade, you're very quick. You're very, very quick. Yes, your environment affects your money. So, Ade, I see you responding to that right there. I want to know more from everybody. Do you think your environment affects your money? Okay. Somebody's asking me, what are you coming to Vegas for, sir? Oh, yes. I'm coming to Las Vegas. I have an event coming out there. Multiple events, as a matter of fact, coming to Vegas. So, if you want, you could feel free to connect with me. My number is, actually, I'll post my number up on TikTok. I'm on Instagram. It's 954-478-4498. That's my number. Feel free to connect with me. Okay. So, I just say, yes, your environment affects everything. Environment. But let's take it a step further. Okay, let's take a step further. When I say two particles are connected, they are. They are heavily connected. The way you think is eventually what you're going to become. Because there is not, as you heard the phrase, as a man thinketh, there is nothing that you are thinking that doesn't materialize. No, so, by the way, the longer you dwell on the thoughts and the more feelings and emotions you have attached to the thoughts, the more the practical reality of it. That's your manifestation right there. Okay? So your financial life is entangled with your decisions. Pure and simple. It's not even a debate. So now that you begin to understand this, and I see that you guys, I see Las Vegas is in the house. Ade, where are you nowadays? Are you here in the US or are you abroad? Ade, I would like to know. Coach Tiffany, all of you guys, welcome, okay? Most people think money is just a math. That's what they think. Let me know exactly where you're joining me from. Every one of you. People think money is just a math. And the answer is no. The answer is no. Money is not just a math. Syracuse, New York. Oh, wow. Nice to see that. Syracuse, New York. Syracuse, New York. Nice to see you here, And Coach Tiffany, you are in South Carolina in the house. Nice to see you right there, South Carolina. Money is bigger than just math. Money is your behavior. Money is your environment. Money is your emotion. And money is your structure. Let me say that one more time clearly. I want you guys to catch this. Money is more than math. Math is only a result of. Let me say that again. Math is only a result of. Math is only a result of. Your behavior, your environment, your emotions, and literally all of this, including your structure, that's a combination of your money right there. You say your bank account is connected to the people around you. That is why the law of proximity is real. It's not a gimmick. Not at all. And let me say that again. It's not a gimmick. This law of proximity that Ade talked about is real. This law of proximity, it's very powerful. Because if there are 6 people in your life that are rich, or 5 people in your life that are rich, you're the 7th one. You guys follow me so far on this? So the truth about it is this, that you have all the ability to be able to collapse the right version of you. But the question is this though, are you collapsing the right version of you? So let's take it a step further down. Your bank account is connected to the people around you. Your bank account is actually a reflection of your habits. Your bank account is a financial education to you to learn from. Your bank account is actually a measurement of your stress level. Your bank account is a reflection of the daily decisions that you make. Your bank account is even your confidence. You got this, right? So, when I talk about your financial entanglement in the world of quantum physics, you are already entangled. And everyday activity that you engage in is a pure entanglement. And so, someone that can't control their emotions will find it very difficult to accumulate wealth because there's a reasonable level of structure that is needed for you to accumulate wealth. Someone, for example, that is financially illiterate cannot really keep wealth because money comes, money goes. Now, someone that just have a very bad habit, it's very difficult for that person to create wealth. By the way, I want to thank every one of you. Over 2,000 of you guys are on right now, okay? And that's a compliment to all of you. But keep sharing this with everybody. Share this with everybody. I want you guys to understand we're up to something with this 1 million financial literacy concept. But stay with me as we continue with this, okay? You say, how many of you grew up hearing money doesn't go on trees? Have you ever heard that before? Like, oh, by the way, why are you asking all of this? Money doesn't grow on tree. Why are you doing this? Have you ever heard that saying? Or how many of you grew up without financial education? Like, nobody sat you down and said, this is how money works. Like, you were grown up as a kid. Nobody said, by the way, one day when you make $100,000, that kind of stuff, there you go. Yes, so you were clear on that. I didn't grow up with that. Nobody sat down with me and said, hey, this is how money grows. Or, by the way, when you make your first $100,000, make sure you give 10% to God for tithe, and make sure, the taxes is this, and make sure you save this, and make sure you live under your means. Nobody sat me down for all of this stuff. I had to go to school of hard knocks to learn these things. Because, if you grew up in a wealthy environment, you got those knowledge when you were young, when you were a kid. So therefore, your blueprint of money was clear, was strong, was better, because you kind of grew up having those knowledge. All you had to do was just execute. But for majority of us, myself included, were never exposed to that. You see, because you don't have that kind of knowledge, when money comes to you, you're going to think a little more differently how you handle your money. By the way, if this describes you, type me. Let me say that again. If this describes you, type me. If you ever had the expression, money doesn't go on tree, who do you think you are? That kind of, you know what I mean? Why are you asking for this? Type me, because that was me. I went through that. So did you ever go through that? And if you went through that, how did it shape your blueprint of money? And did you operate from abundance or did you operate from lack of? Like, how did you operate? Like, what was your blueprint in this case? All right. As we're going through all of this, I'm going to read the comment loud. Totally me. I wasn't taught. I did 100%. So you're just like me. You weren't taught either. That means that you have to figure it out on your own. Anybody else? I'm curious. Any of you here? Like, were you taught about money? Were you born rich? I wasn't born rich. 3 meals a day was a struggle. Holding my shoes as a kid. I remember like yesterday. Were you born rich? I'm again on this very popular life right here. It's okay if you don't want to speak up. I'm okay with that. We're just being transparent with one another here. I wasn't born rich. I'm not embarrassed of it. My parents did the best that they could to raise a son, or children to the best of their capability. They showed me what they knew. Even my mom was teaching me, how to sew clothing. I don't know how to sew, but it was teaching me that. So I know how to sew, but for what though? I'm not using that knowledge today, but she gave me what she knew. She owned a restaurant, and literally, boys were not allowed to go into the kitchen or learn how to cook back in those days when I was growing up in Nigeria, especially in Kaba. And so I never learned how to cook, but the ladies were doing everything. All the girls, my sisters, were doing everything. So my mom gave me what she knew, because in her mind, she's passing on the skill set that will feed me. My dad passed away very little when I was young, but my dad had a farm, and I hated going to the farm because we were manually farming. Maybe I was too lazy, but I didn't want that. I don't make my money that way. So that's not how I make my money. I make my money in consulting. I make my money in finance. I make my money in multiple ways in real estate, in insurances, etc. So that's not my skill. I couldn't use that skill because that was not exactly, the skill that I was taught. So which means you have to what? You have to learn. Law of proximity. All right. Now that you understand this, lot of you like me, we went through the same thing. I would try to learn. I would try to get better. But the issue you have is that you still have the residue of your parents and how they thought about money that is still locked in your brain. You carry that forward. You're not even aware of that. You don't even know that's taking place. That explains why you are very risk averse. You don't want to take any risk. Because why? Your great grandparents never took any risk. So that gene got passed on to you. But yet you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to bust it wide open, but you don't want to take a risk, which is almost near impossible. It's not your fault. It's just the fact nobody ever broke it down or sat you down or explained these things properly so that you can make the right informed decisions. So it wasn't there. That's correct. At day it was unconscious. So it's not something like intentionally do. But today, as you're listening to me on this live TikTok, the idea is for you to break it. That's the whole idea. Break whole entire thing. Break the generational curses. All the negative genes that was passed on to you, break it up. But stay with me. There's something we call the seed that I need you to understand. A seed on concrete and a seed on fertile soil are both seeds, but only one grows. The paycheck is the seed. Your financial structure is the soil. You don't need just income. You need positioning. You need structure. You need system. I talk about this unrelentlessly because, or relentlessly, because I know for a fact that if you don't understand this basic concept of the seeding of your money, it's almost near impossible to go to the next level of financial freedom. Listen, everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to do what they want, how they want, when they want. Everybody wants all of those things. But why is it only top 10% people are experiencing that and the 90% of people never get to experience that? Because you've been conditioned by society. Because you have been, the game is rigged against you. You are in the system that was not designed for you to win. But yet you're locked into that system. And when somebody tries to open your eye to see it differently, you fight against that person because it doesn't make any sense to you. But it's not supposed to make sense to you, because if it made sense to you, then you will not be in the matrix. Hello. So a lot of the things that we're talking about right here, is you getting to understand from a better perspective how to actually get better at this thing called the game of life and your game of finance. So the concept of a seed is getting you to understand that money is money, but where your money sits is what dictates your freedom. And a lot of the time you think the amount of it. Don't be fooled. It's not the amount. It's the structure first. The amount comes second. Everybody goes after the amount. Oh, I'm a millionaire. Stop that BS. You could be a millionaire today and tomorrow you're poor as a joke. Literally. So it's not that. It's where's the money? For example, if you go and watch Madoff, the guy who literally up to a tune of like 50 billion, not million by the way, $50 billion, running a Ponzi scheme that got anyone from the oligarchs, who is who in Europe, all the way to the Americas and far beyond. That how could a guy run a Ponzi scheme to that extent? How the laws like tweeted, like the FCC couldn't even get hold of him. He escaped them all the time. I'm talking about Bernie Madoff. Right here, I'm outside of Miami. The guy was in New York, and he was also in Palm Beach, right here in Florida. That's Bernie Madoff, okay? So think about it. Why though? How could he pull stuff like that off? Did all this money? You know what eventually what happened? His son killed himself, literally. He hung himself in a hotel room. The other son literally got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer and died. His wife was evicted from their home. So all of the luxury homes, the yachts, the boats, the everything, like the yachts, I have to say it right. So the boats and everything, all gone. The expensive cars gone. The wife was practically homeless. How do you have up to a tune of $50 billion to your name? And then literally one day you're homeless. How's that even made possible? How is that even possible? But you see, here's the idea that most people don't understand. Okay? And this is the area that you have to really understand. Your positioning and your structure, it's everything. Don't judge yourself by where you are right now. Judge yourself by your systems and your structure. If your current income you're making does not pay you when you retire, if you don't have a compensation in your life, Mario, Ade, if you don't have a compensation in your life, Miss Marie, that pays you when you stop working, you are in the wrong compensation. The wealthy people have residual income. The wealthy people have income that keeps coming even when they stop working. This is the area that most people don't want to get involved in. They're like, no, I don't want to do that. Oh, I don't want to recruit anybody to join my cause. Really? Now you're in the matrix. They've conditioned your brain. You're done. It's over. Even Jesus, with all of his might, with all of his power, with everything he's got, still recruited 12 people to join his cause. We call them the disciples. Let's say, when I listen to people sometimes, I'm like, I can't argue with this one. I can't talk to that one. This God makes no sense to me. What am I doing here? Why am I in this room? Sometimes some rooms have to deserve your presence. So you quietly, respectfully walk out of the room. Because sometimes you got to understand that when someone is so into the system and into the matrix, you're far gone that you don't even realize. Let me give you the analogy of water so you can understand the power of understanding your money, the system. And this life TikTok should be a wake-up call to a lot of us. And by the way, for every one of you that's loving this, I appreciate that because I see all of the sign and all of the love. I appreciate every one of you guys. Let's take a look at the money part. Okay, 2.9, so almost 3,000. Money flows like water. If there's no structure, what happens? It leaks. Let me say that again. Money flows like water. That's the reason, if you see, look, I would say the current of the ocean. Currency. What do we call money? Currency. If you take a look at the water at the edge of a stream or river, what do we call that? The river banks. Isn't that right? What do we call where the money sits? We'll call it the banks. Guys, you got to understand everything that you see around you with all of the words, they all have meaning. We'll cross 3,000 and thank you guys for that. We all have meaning. Everything has meaning. So watch this. If I say even planet, what is the planet Earth? What does it stand for? Have you ever thought about that? Plan, ET, extraterrestrial, planet. But guys, by the way, we can play on words all day long because there's everything you're hearing has meaning behind it that a lot of people don't understand. So if you're listening, okay, let's take a look at water. And money flows like water, which is a currency. When there's no structure, what happens? It leaks. If I pour water in a basket, what happens? It leaks. Okay? All right. Let me tell you how crazy this sounds. So crazy, but so true. You could go to the ocean with a cup, and guess what? We call it a cup of water. That's your life. You could go into the ocean with a bucket. We call it what? A bucket of water. That's your life. You could go into the ocean with a truck. What we call a truckload of water. Good for you. You could go into the ocean, with a pipe and zap as much water as you can that for generations to come. What do you call that? You are free with water. Isn't that right? Okay. Your life and your finances is exactly like that. Because your perspective of money and life is going to give you your blueprint of money. And that's exactly the extent of money you're going to make. Because small dreams does not steer the soul. It's only when your dream is bigger, and so that's when you begin to attract big things to you. You see, some people make $300,000 and they're still broke. Broke as a joke. While somebody else makes $70,000 quietly, but they build wealth. They have properties, they have stocks, mutual bonds, and so on and so forth. And they grow wealth for themselves. But one is 300,000. One is 70K. 70K builds wealth with 70K. A 300,000 is still broke. So question, how many of you know someone who makes good money but still struggles financially? How many of you? There are 3,500 of you in this. How many of you know? You could post. Are they right shoulder with me? I'm curious. Do you know someone that makes a lot of money but yet they appear still broke? Do you know anyone like that? I'm really curious. Do you know anyone like that? I'm curious. And by the way, while you're posting, if you are not already, following me, I encourage you to follow me. You're already getting a lot of nuggets from everything we're talking about today. Even if you execute 10% of what we talk about right now, you'll be a millionaire. It's a fact. It's not even a question about it. All you need is just execution. So let's go into this. I want to talk about some deep financial clarity on this as I start preparing to start wrapping this up. Maybe I have another 10, 15 more minutes with you guys. Most people focus on earning more money. If you ask an average person, you don't understand. I need to make more money. I need to get rich. I need to make more money. Wealthy people focus on where their money sits. Two different philosophy. For example, is your money sitting in liabilities? Let me explain what I mean. So you go Ahmed, okay, or Star, or Queen, or Fiverr. You go, you buy a Rolls Royce. You're excited about it. My God, can you know? You know how people pretended to be rich rather than being rich. So you go, you buy a Rolls Royce. Okay. People look at you, they respect you. But all you have just done, your money is sitting in liabilities. Somebody else takes the same money, they buy a property, and it's appreciating. So now a $500,000 just became a 1.5 million. So one have money in a place that's appreciating, one has money in a place that's what? Depreciating purchases. So where's your money sitting? That's the question. Is your money sitting idle? Is it sitting in the bank where you're making no money? Is that where your money is sitting? Or is your money sitting in the stocks, bonds, and mutual funds? Or better still, where is your assets? What kind of assets do you have? Do you have digital assets? Do you have physical assets like real estate? Do you have paper assets, just money and nothing else? Like, you see, you can make millions, but if your money is positioned very badly, your future will collapse. So it's never about how much money you make. It's always how much money you are able to keep. So it takes me to the next. And because the issue of retirement, for example, where somebody lied to you, told you to work your ass off till you're 65, 70, then you retire. Then you retire, and then 5 to 10 years later, you're dead. Interesting. And somebody bought this. And all of us run like a rat race, run into where you run into. So you work your whole entire life only to enjoy your life for 5 to 10 years and die? Who sold this dream? And why did you and I bought this? I don't buy it. I'm not in it anymore. I got out of the matrix. But why? Who sold this dream to us? Did it even cross your mind? Who sold you the idea that you can't go work for 5 years, lock onto something for 5 freaking years, princess? Okay, for 5 years, Ahmed. For 5 years, Ade. Why can't you for 5 years work your ass off, miss birthdays, miss funerals, miss everything? 5 years, disappear on everybody, come back rich, like unbelievable. And then enjoy your life thereafter. Why can't we do that? Why? Who sold this whole idea? Secondly, who told you the lie that life insurance will not give you a legacy? Who sold you the lie that life insurance is not a big deal for you, when all the wealthy people are using it and you're not? Who sold you that lie? Where did that come from? I mean, I want to pause and think about that for a second, okay? W, nice to see you here. But let's talk about annuities, systems and structures. You and I don't know tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know. You don't know either. Who sold you the lie that it's not a good idea to buy annuities to protect your tomorrow? Because one day we're going to get old. Imagine you're old, you're wrinkled, and you're broke. That's a bad combination. Bad. Why can't you, like literally, make sacrifices now to protect your future? So that you could buy annuities that guarantee, a monthly income for the rest of your life till the day you die. Why couldn't you do that? Who sold you the lie of not having asset protection? That you work so hard, you accumulate wealth, and the wealth you accumulate, W, the wealth that you guys accumulate, bam, one lawsuit and you lost everything. Who sold that lie to you? And why did you believe that? Why? I'm really curious. Who sold you the lie that you couldn't invest in a tax saving strategies or in places where sometimes even tax free? I mean, think about that for a second. The billionaires or the billionaires at the top pay no taxes, and the homeless guy pay no taxes. So everybody else in between have to pay. Being homeless is a bad idea, so that option is out. So the only option you have therefore is what? Being the top 1%. And why can't you go there? Who showed you the lie that you're not good enough? Where did that come from? You see, as I ask all these questions, and as I'm pushing you guys on all of these questions, you know what this means? You're being challenged. Yes. So you could either take my message, like right now as I'm talking, you could take this message to the next level by simply doing one thing, challenging yourself and do what we call an internal self-audit of yourself and get rid of all the biases, and all of the genetic codes that your great-grandfathers and mothers or whatever has passed on to you that's not a composition of you. So you can destroy that today and start asking critical questions. So, and by you asking critical questions, then you begin to activate a different part of your brain that has not been activated at all. So this way you're being challenged like you've never been challenged before. You say, I'm going to wrap this up because some of you are fighting financial battles right now that I don't know, but you kept it to yourself. Some of those battles started even before you were born. You just didn't know it because nobody ever articulated it like this. So you just thought it was just you. We don't know. For some, it's a battle of debts that you're just constantly dead. You can't seem to see you can't seem to see the end of the tunnel. You're just in the debt. For some of you, it's a battle of scarcity. Like, it doesn't matter. Every time you touch something, you're scared you're going to lose it. So and so you lose it because scarcity, the most predominant thought, is going to manifest. Some of you is fear. You're just afraid. Everything for you is afraid you will take zero risk. So for not taking any risk, not even calculated risk, so you don't even put yourself in a position to win anything. For some, it's lack of guidance. You have no one to guide you. And the best investment you could ever make is the investment in yourself. And some of you will not do that, which is you got to invest in yourself. You got to spend money on you. You got to better you. You got to read the right books. You got to pay the mentors. You got to go to classes, take courses. You should spend unselfishly on yourself. But some wouldn't do that because you're the engine. And if that engine is broken, your life is broken, which is the engine of the mind, the engine of your brain. You got to fix that. Okay, for some, there's zero blueprint. They have zero blueprint. They got to go figure things out. You inherited financial entanglements. That's what happened in the world of quantum physics. You inherited that. But one decision can interrupt the entire cycle for you. Just one decision. Sometimes all you need, one handshake, one YouTube video, one live TikTok, and guess what happened to you? Bam. You're a changed man. You're a changed woman. This might be it for some of you. I don't know, but it could be. Because maybe brain is shifting. Quite a number of you, over 4,000 of you guys are with me right now. So brain is shifting. Things are moving. And the truth about it is this. As you receive this message, you could process it in multifaceted ways. You have many ways to process this. But I can say this to you very clearly. If you're determined to become the person that changes your bloodline, type legacy here. Let me see, declare it, make it known. Because maybe you'll be the first generation millionaire, in your own family, in that bloodline of yours, Joseph. Who knows? Pick Misha. Mars, who you never know. Legacy, there you go, from Las Vegas. You could be the one. Ade, there you go. You could be the one. You could be. So that bloodline of yours, somebody needs to take the responsibility and change that bloodline for good. And that person needs to take the bullet for the rest of the family. If you don't make that decision, I swear somebody in your bloodline will. 10, 15, 20 years from now, 100 years from now, somebody in your bloodline will make a decision to make that name of yours an everlasting name. I just hope that you make the decision and understand this is a big deal. I really hope you do. I really, really hope you do. Let me take you to the next one. Because you see, if I start asking you what do you do for work, because what you do for work sometimes reveals a lot your mindset. You don't even have to tell me right now because of the interest of time. If I ask you who owns a business, that's a big deal. Because also that reveals your propensity towards taking risks, which means you can improve yourself. If I ask you who here wants financial freedom, my assumption is majority of you will like it. People use coping mechanisms. Money is not everything. Money is just bullshit. Don't fool yourself, okay? If you have no money, you're going to live a slave life for the rest of your life because you're subordinate to somebody. So the borrower is always a slave to the lender. So if you want to be a slave, then don't even fight to be free. So don't buy into this whole thing like, guys. Some people hide under religion, and they won't max out. But it's force. It's big falsity because God is a very wealthy God. So money answereth all things. The Bible says that too, if you're a Christian. So I don't want to get carried away with all the things, the coping mechanism that everybody uses to stay casual, stay poor. I said, no, don't buy into that nonsense. But I need to start asking critical questions. Who wants to retire early so you can escape the matrix? So it's not like you're working for the rest of your life till the day you die. Connie, do you want that? Langland, do you want that? Ade, do you want that? Ask yourself critical question. What's the biggest financial lessons that life has taught you so far? If you're not asking this question, by the way, thank you for the follow, Beyond Sapien. Thank you for that. So, by the way, if you're not following me, I encourage you to follow Sapien and follow me. Okay? So now, ask about this. Ask yourself these questions. What is the biggest financial lessons you've learned so far? Remember this, that mistakes plus reflection equals progress. So if you keep making the same mistake, all you're doing is perpetuating the same poverty. And you don't want that. You want to be able to pass something on to your children that is noble, that is worth it, something that you respect. The best gift a parent can give their children is a better gift of how to do life. That's the best gift you could give them. It's not money, it's not anything else. It's that in the absence of you, they can do life to their highest potential. That right there is a true test of parenthood. And you know how you know a parent is really good? It's not how the children turns out. Because everybody's saying, no. It's how the grandchildren turns out. That means the parent was able to teach the children enough that the children were able to duplicate the parent. So when you begin to hear me say some of the things I'm asking you right now, it's meant to make you better, to sharpen your knowledge, to put you in a critical place of thinking where you versus you can think and think right. You say, I want you to know fully well, okay, that you need to share this live with at least one person. I'm going to post this later on today. Share with one person. Follow if you want real financial clarity. You should follow me, like a lot of you are doing right now. You should. Let me give you the big shift, and then we'll wrap this up because most people think they need motivation. No, you don't need motivation. What you need is called awareness. That's what you need. Once awareness changes, decisions changes. Once decision change, position changes. Once positions changes, guess what happened? Your generations change. You need awareness. That's why financial literacy is not an option anymore. Financial literacy should be a civic right, just like any other right. That's what it should be. And you could be the engine, for your own family. 1 million people, one mission is called financial clarity. I truly believe one conversation can alter an entire family's future. One handshake, one live TikTok, your whole entire life could change. It's just only one shift. You don't need 2 or 3 or 4. Money, it's only one shift that you need. And everything changes. I truly believe that, okay? So maybe today, that family that just changed could be your family. Maybe it's yours. If this life impacted you, okay? And like I mentioned to you, I'd like you to follow me. I do. And I'll give you my departing words before I go into my appointment today. Okay? And I want to remind you that and this part is going to make a lot of sense to you. Okay? You see, the world of quantum physics is a very interesting world. The world that simply says that whatever you're thinking is eventually going to manifest is a very interesting world. The world that simply says quantum entanglement, that two particles, are entangled, it's a very interesting world. The world that says what we call in quantum physics observer's effect, that phenomenon remain phenomenon until what? Eventually, whatever it is you look at is eventually what you're going to collapse. So we call that the observer's effect in quantum physics. It's real. So whatever you pay attention is exactly what you become. So as I wrap this up, Jay, nice to see you, my brother. With over 4,000 of you guys with me right now. So you understand, as I wrap this, as I send you guys off, I want to understand one thing. Whatever you're doing, understand that quantum physics play a very big role. A very, very big role. And that you can go to the highest level of your life if you make the right decision for you. So with that said, again, I am on the course of a 1 million people financial literacy. On the course of that is growing very heavily. We're starting our third week. We're going to have over 1 million, obviously, literally in the span of a year. But it's not about accolades. It's not about followers. It's not about anything. I just want to impact the underserved, the people that need more financial literacy to become a better version of themselves. Make a difference in their life, impact other people. Because guys, nobody can pull a wool over your face when you have money to work with. You're no longer living a survival life. Now you can go play ball. And right now, too many people can't play ball. Even if you want to play ball, that ball is taken away from you. But when you have money, Lord have mercy, and your brain is functioning, oh my God. When you have money and your brain is functioning, you become almost flipping untouchable. I can't wait for you to experience that. So with that said, thank you for being part, of this incredible life today. Like I keep saying, 4,100 of you. It's called respect. So have a great one, everybody. You will see me again tomorrow. Walk like it's up to you. Pray like it's up to God. Clear your schedule. Between 1 and 2:30 every day, you see me live, and it's all about growth. Today's quantum physics. Tomorrow, I got something better for you. Have a great one, everyone. I love every one of you guys. Bye now.